Hi, perhaps you recognize me. It's your favorite president.
We will decide who comes to this country and the circumstances in which they come.
I mean,
I know you want to ban our national flags, but we're going to wave you goodbye.
What does confrontation mean? It means you fight for what you believe.
Enough was enough! And I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother!
It is not merely our privilege to be strong, it is our duty to be strong.
G'day everyone, welcome back to another episode of Commanding the Narrative. My name is Stephen Tripp. Thank you to everyone who is watching this. If you are watching this live, you can contribute to the chat on Rumble, Facebook or YouTube, or the link is in the chat to StreamYard if you want to call in, and we encourage everyone to do so because we love hearing people call in and have their say. We've got one of the serial callers in, Mr. Richard Storch, here tonight, so be like Richard and hit that StreamYard link, and we want to hear what your comments are, especially on tonight's topic. We're talking about the failures of the Albanese government and the current polling, which suggests that the Labor government isn't looking too flash hot, and maybe the coalition can win after all. So it's going to be a pretty lively debate tonight. Have the returning political animals. Firstly, Mr. Sam Buono.
Stephen, how you going, mate?
Good, Mr. Buono. How are you?
Good, mate. Yeah, good. Last couple of weeks, getting things done around the house, and
very good. And Mr. Richard Storch, thank you for hosting us again.
Always a pleasure.
Yes, and tonight we're joined by Mr. Doug Rennie. Now, Doug was the Libertarian candidate for Pittwater at the recent by-election, and you had a strong showing there. How are you tonight, Doug?
Yeah, look, thanks very much for having me, guys, and thanks, Steve.
I'm sure people will be excited to see you on the show tonight.
I'm sure they will be.
He's a little bit nervous, but he'll get into it.
I've got to put up with 2 libertarians tonight. How about that? If it wasn't bad enough with one.
Oh, God.
If you would like
to flow into it,
if you'd like to show me some pity and some understanding, you want to make a donation to help to pay for the stream and help pay for the website, and most importantly, give me a warm and fuzzy feeling inside, you can now head to the Commanding the Narrative website, hit the donation button, and we've got a few options of how you can donate to us now. We always had the buy me the coffee option, but people were asking for more direct options. They didn't want to necessarily go through buy me a coffee for whatever reason. So
tell them that you got a good donation the other day, didn't you?
I did get a very nice donation. So
you might as well tell everyone publicly.
Oh, well, I don't want to give it away, but enough to pay for the stream for a year, and enough to pay for a website for a year.
I didn't want you to tell them the amount, but I'm very generous.
Very generous. I've thanked the person.
You did you?
Yes, of course. I had to. I mean, it was a very
very sizable.
Very much appreciated, and I always say it gives me a warm and fuzzy feeling. Yeah. You can't even describe.
Oh,
it's just, I mean,
when you told me the other day, I was shocked.
It blows me away that people want to part with their money. I always say their hard-earned money, but this was next level. So, thank you to everyone who has donated. We even got a donation on Buy Me a Coffee from Gail Morgan. Gail bought us 5 coffees, so thank you very much, Gail. Gail said, my integrity and politics are uncomfortable bedfellows. Doesn't mean we stop trying. Congrats, love you guys. That writing is really, really small, but
you must have good.
Thank you,
I
Gail.
can't see that.
I was testing my limits there.
Gee, I couldn't have a clue. I've got 4 of them. I still can't see that.
Yes, but if you would like to also contribute, please, as I said, head to Commanding the Narrative, hit the donate button. You can also head to Commanding the Narrative and stay up to date with everything that we're doing. All our podcasts are on there. Any articles that I might write, events coming up. You can also see what's coming up on our podcast here. As you can see there, you have all the links to the different platforms and the times and the dates. If you're thinking to yourself, when are these boys going to be on next? Head to Commanding the Narrative, hit the sign up button in the top right hand corner, and you get a weekly newsletter from me, and you'll be up to date with everything. So I encourage you to all do that. The subscriber list is growing, so people out there are hungry for that weekly email. So thank you again. Now, the Light newspaper, I'll let you know about this as well. if you want to get unfiltered truth out to people, please head to the Light newspaper and sign up to be a distributor. If you are in the Northern Beaches or in Sydney and close to the Northern Beaches, you can call the number 0406 861 816 and become a distributor for the Light. That pallet is being paid for, so all you need to do is pick those papers up and distribute them out to people, put them in people's letterboxes, or take it down to your local newsagent or medical center or something like that. And look, you really do get a good feeling about getting this newspaper out there, because there's a lot of good information in there. And if I don't like the term waking people up, because it kind of means that everyone's walking around like a mindless drone. But if you're exposing people to information they haven't seen before, or maybe they haven't seen it on the mainstream media and they're reading it for the first time in the Light newspaper, that's a really good feeling. So please, if you want to get on board and be a distributor, you can pick up 100 copies if you want and get them out there. So please do that. And that's about it for that. So I guess we should get into it.
Yes, mate.
A poll came out. A Redbridge poll
on Friday.
Was it Friday? Was it?
Yeah.
It hasn't been out too long. It was very, very interesting. You want to maybe set the table, Mr. Buono?
Well, it's amazing how close the election is, and safe seats, in Western Sydney and Western Melbourne, in safe Labor seats. It's all, it's a guide. I don't think everyone should realise it's not going to. What's going to happen? It's still 3 months, 6 months.
It's a bit more than that, Sam. It's a. There's been a steady trend line since.
No doubt, the trend is the friend. Yeah,
and this is a clear break downwards for the Labor Party.
Yeah,
and it's concentrated, as you said, in the Western Sydney and Western Melbourne seats, which are traditionally safe, and
also on the central coast of Sydney and in the Hunter Valley.
Yep,
the Valley.
Okay, so this is the poll here. Now, it was a little bit different than all the other polls, because they didn't just poll the whole country and get a result. This went from seat by seat.
This was seat specific.
Specific.
Concentrated on most of the marginal seats and the at-risk seats.
Yes. And so I'm just going to read out the executive summary, because this basically gives it all away. The contest for government has tightened across 2024, despite some softening of Labor's vote in late 2023 and early 2024. Labor remained the firm favourite at the beginning of the year. Now the coalition appears to be favourite and also the largest bloc in government. Now, if an election were to be held now, the Accent Research and Redbridge polling estimates the coalition would win between 64 and 78 seats. Now, they need 75 to get a majority, giving it an 82% chance of winning the largest share in the House of Representatives. Labor remains competitive, though. The likely range of seats is estimated to win has a low end of 59 and an upper range of 71, which is more to your point, Richard, about Labor not being able to get to that magic 75 number.
Yeah.
And you always said they were going to get 56. Was that your prediction?
I said they'd be below 65.
Below 65.
Yeah.
So Redbridge is saying between 59 and 71, with an 18% chance of being the largest party in Parliament. For the Greens, the estimated low end of seats won is 3 and an upper range of 5. For all other parties and candidates, the range of seats won is estimated between 7 and 13. So what it's basically saying is Labor have gone down, the coalition have gone up, and everyone else has pretty much remained very much the same.
Not quite. The Teals have lost ground as well. And the Greens appear to be holding their position, according to this poll, but I actually don't accept that. I think they're in danger of losing about 3 or 4 seats.
Well, I was talking to a guy, a Liberal person, the other day in a seat in Sydney where Redbridge said there was 50. I won't say the seat's name.
Why not?
Well, they said Bradfield. So the Bradfield.
Okay.
Was and the Samaras was 53-47. Where a person said to me the other day, their private polling says 52 to 48 to the coalition. So it's give or take 1 or 2%. So it's real tight. It's real tight.
Look, at the moment, I mean, we've still got 4 months to go until people walk into pre-poll and into polling booths.
Now, Doug, I don't follow the polls as much as these boys do, but what this Redbridge poll really solidified for me was my general feeling of, the vibes from the public, speaking to people, maybe, following the media and things like that. What have you noticed out there? What are your thoughts when you're out campaigning, you're speaking to people? Do you feel like Labor are really on the nose and the coalition are gaining ground, or do you feel that Teals are on the nose?
Certainly, Steve. Yeah, definitely the Labor are looking like a bit of a train wreck, actually. And the Liberal side is, it's a view that most of the people think that they've let them down, but not totally. It looks as though
devastating.
Normally, I'm the one who can't talk.
Is the question that Trump said 2 months ago? Are you better off? Were you better off 4 years ago with me, or were you better off 4 years now? 4 years later under Biden.
You're
absolutely
right.
Thing
I mean, it's an undeniable
yeah.
equation, really.
And I think Dutton and the Libs will say that. I don't think they'll do anything.
He's already started. Haven't you heard it?
Yeah, I've heard it. But just saying.
I've heard it.
Yeah, I'm just saying. But I can't see some other people saying do what Trump did in America. I think that's a bit. You can't do that in Australia because the way we vote and things like that. But certainly that. Are you better off than you were 3 years ago? And that's devastating. Devastating.
John the Boy, g'day, John the Boy, watching us on Rumble. John the Boy says, I think the Greens, based on recent state elections, will lose ground at the federal election. So how much is yet to be seen? And John also went on to say, this is a very interesting point, the $275 promise by Albo will come back to haunt him for sure. What do you think, Richard?
Yeah.
Oh, it's going to go even worse than that. I mean, it'll just be hung around his neck like a dead, stinking cat.
Yeah.
It's like if anyone thinks about, oh, what have they done? It's like, well, they lied to me. They broke their promise. It's like you can't get around that. Anytime they want to talk about cost of living or energy pricing, it's just going to come straight into it.
So if we go back to the poll, this is the predicted outcomes. Now, the most interesting thing about this is you can see in the graph down the bottom there. At the top, you've got the seats. So it's saying that the coalition are strong in 47 seats. They're ahead in 22, which gives them 64. Labor is strong in 47. They're ahead in 12, which gives them 59. Greens 4, other are 9, and too close to call are 14, which we'll go into a little bit later. But here, the trend line. Yeah. You can see that the red line is Labor. It's been trending down very, very steadily. The blue line is the coalition has been trending up very, very steadily, and everyone else down the bottom here are pretty much flatlining, pretty much stable. So what that says for the electorate is that people are maybe shifting from Labor to the coalition. Is that safe to say?
Yeah. Fundamentally, you might get a bit of variation with Labor voters, Greens voters going to Labor or Labor voters going to Greens. But yeah, it's basically that.
It depends where they are. Yeah. If you're in the inner cities and all that, and if you're a Labor voter, you'll go Green. If you're out in the western suburbs of Sydney and Melbourne, you either vote red or blue. If they're angry with the Labor Party, they'll go Liberal.
Yeah.
Doug, I know you're a Libertarian man, but it seems like the coalition are picking up ground. Why do you think that is?
I believe that they're just they're recognizing. I mean, they're catching up. That listening to what the people want.
Yeah.
And that was quite clear at the polls, as they came to the polls. It was like, well, which way do I go? And I think they've picked up on that information, and it's now starting to reflect through a lot of the present movements within the party.
Yeah, okay. One thing from this Redbridge poll, Richard, that you're really going to like, it says that that there's a greater than 98% chance of a minority government. 98%. So
Sure.
it's saying 98%. Basically, it's a done deal that we're heading towards minority government,
Yeah.
which is right up your alley, which is what you've been saying
Yep.
since the start of the year.
Yeah. And the thing is, if Labor lose the seats that they're going to lose, they can't form minority government. There won't be enough independents for them to be able to get to 75.
John the Boy says, I think the crossbench will steal seats from both major parties, and that'll determine whether the coalition will have.
Name them, John Boy. Name them.
I was just about to say the same thing. Which seats are you talking about, mate?
Yeah, just
It won't be mine and Sam's. I can tell you that now. It won't be Bradfield. They're not going to get anything.
Yeah,
They'll be very lucky to hang on to more than 3 of what they've got.
one thing I have noticed with that Redbridge poll, how many seats are within a margin of between 0 and 5%. It's I reckon it's about 80 seats.
Yeah,
About 80 seats that are that
Yeah.
close. Years ago they were marginal seats. Now they're ultra marginal these days. The way people are feeling at the moment.
And seats that you wouldn't expect, like Werriwa and MacArthur and Shortland and stuff. These seats have never been almost never been Liberal.
The seat in New South Wales, which I thought would never ever leave Labor.
Yeah.
the seat of New South Wales.
No, the seat in New South Wales.
The seat in New South Wales is a seat of Doe Bill, which is north.
They've lost that before.
Have they?
Yeah.
Oh, gee.
Yeah. Ken Ticehurst held that for 2 terms
Oh, okay.
in the.
I thought they never lost that northern.
No, they've lost it.
Well, one of the
Well, therefore, Hunter suddenly now.
Hunter, they've never lost.
Never lost
Hunter was a stronghold.
They've
What-
never lost Shortland either.
haven't they? Okay, fair enough.
what I'm interested about is MacArthur as well.
Oh,
Yeah, MacArthur's just unbelievable.
although there was a Liberal candidate there 20 years ago, famous runner,
Yeah, but
Graham
that
Farmer.
that was when MacArthar went over the other side of the
Okay.
M5 and went up to Picton or
That's right.
Mittagong. or
That's
something,
right.
you know.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it wasn't.
The old Campbelltown, MacArthur is now.
Campbelltown.
Yeah. That's the real thing. The polling, like both majors are 30%, and I think the other 30% is minor parties. So that will be the key then. If you're going to put a protest vote, it's going to be close. That second vote, the second that first preference you're going to make is going to be will determine the seat.
So I think these graphs here are very, very interesting. Now these are the ones that I'm pretty sure
They're called too close to call.
No, these are not the too close to call. These are the ones that
These
they're
are the
saying.
individual seats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are the ones that the polling is saying that the Liberal Party will snatch off Labor.
Oh,
Some of them are too close to call. Doe Bill's in there.
Yeah.
But MacArthur is one of the ones I think
Yeah.
the coalition is basically going to win that one, which blows my mind.
Yeah.
I can't see that going to.
Go for a drive out in some of those suburbs.
Mate, that's where Adam Zara is.
Yeah.
I've done polling there.
But he's in a
it's
middle class suburb. Go to
Yeah.
places like Aids or Lemire or Claymore and stuff like that.
Well, they're hard. They're hard-nosed Labor areas too.
Well, they're also public housing.
Yeah, that's
hotspots
true.
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
But there are some, and there's a bit of redistribution that goes up to Oran Park, doesn't it?
No,
No.
Oran Park's part of him now.
Hume now. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a very contentious question, Doug.
Good.
Now, Sam just said that 80% of these seats are within 5%.
Yeah.
Now, that means that it's going to be very, very tight. The coalition are going to need as many votes as they possibly can. And there's a lot of right-wing minor parties around. One Nation, the Libertarians, Family First. There's a whole bunch of them popping up. And we know that they have poor preference discipline, which we've been talking about on this podcast since this podcast started.
That makes it sound like our fault. It's not our fault.
This is a year old.
I want to tell you, it's totally the Liberal Party's responsibility because they've got a toxic relationship with all the minor parties. It's adversarial, it's aggressive, it's dismissive, condescending. It's like it's their problem, not ours.
We know this podcast is a year old now. Can you believe it? Yeah, it's a year old. A year old. That's right.
Yeah.
Commanding the Narrative is a year old. We should have party hats on or something like that. Okay, but back to my question.
Just remember, you're not a part of the Liberal Party anymore.
I'm a free agent. I can bag at everyone.
I'm enjoying every.
You know what? I've been watching a lot of the teal videos, and they're starting to grow on me a little bit.
Oh, jeez.
You'll have to wear a skirt. You'll have to become an alphabet first.
You'll never be a candidate.
I just want to get paid to pay.
You have to get paid by a third
I
party.
just want to get paid to hand out how to vote cards instead of doing it for free. Okay, Doug. So what I'm basically saying is that these minor parties are going to take votes away from the Liberal Party, and there's no guarantee that the preferences will come back to the Liberal Party and the National Party. Should the Libertarians run in most seats? Should they maybe target some of the worst, maybe the left-leaning Liberal candidates, or what are your feelings on all of that?
It's definitely the left-leaning.
Yeah.
That we've got to influence those particular ideologies and philosophies of those individuals. That gives us a chance to actually take advantage of the situation as it is now.
Yeah.
But with the uni party and the goings on and people's perception of have they been let down, especially on a few of the votes. The bills that have gone through lately as well. So I believe it's a good opportunity now to set the wedge in and bring them over. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I don't necessarily disagree with that, but I'd like a chance to answer it as well. I don't think we have the manpower to be able to contest too many seats, but I think
You're talking about the Libertarians.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think we need to concentrate our efforts where it's going to be most useful and try and get as much publicity
Where
as we
would
can,
it be
because-
most useful?
Well, the big thing we've got is that no one associates us as being anything other than a new party. They don't connect us to the Liberal Democrats quite often. So they just think that we're a new party, a new kid on the block. They don't know who we are, and they're not going to vote for us unless they see us at a couple of elections.
If they did know who you are, they wouldn't vote for you either.
Well, you can say that, of course. Fortunately, I'm not running, so they don't have to vote for me. But there are better people than me that need votes.
Now, should we put some pressure on you, Doug, and ask you if you are running again?
Yeah, look, I've got a strong interest in running, and really it's to raise the profile, the brand of the Libertarian Party. There is a lot of hope. A lot of younger men and women out there in the community, they're looking for something. Like, they've lived through the last few decades. They've had the talks around the table with their parents, and look, I even know people that have spoken to me and said, look, I voted for the Libertarian, but mum and dad voted for, say, Liberal.
Yeah.
But we don't bring that up. That's sort of got a shift. So what I'm saying there is that there is a lot of embracement by the younger people coming through. And what amazed me when I was polling in the Pittwater area was the number of people that wanted to become a Libertarian. They actually want to join the Libertarian Party. And then there was lots of people that came to me and said, well, they didn't know me anyway. I was like that invisible candidate. It was really a two-horse race.
Yep.
And I was getting greeted by people in the car park saying, like, I've just voted for you because I believe the values that you're promoting are very much up our alley. They couldn't quite convince the old grandmother. She was a staunch Liberal person. But what they said to them, they said, well, it's not so much the party, it's the person. It's the principles and what they're trying to achieve. So yeah, you get that sort of hope from the people that there is a shift and they're looking for something that could be an alternative.
Okay, so
your points actually raise an interesting question. So do you think that young people want to join the Libertarian Party because it is the Libertarian Party or because it's not the Liberal Party?
I believe they've actually taken the time to look at the values and the principles.
Okay.
There was some young people, and one of them was a university student, and she was all over liberalism
Right.
and libertarianism. And so she was teaching me more than I knew. And she was saying that it's very much the principles, the freedom of speech, being able to choose whatever you want to do, as long as you're responsible. And so it really did resonate with the community
So
and the younger ones.
The first part of your answer said you want to run because you want to raise the profile of the party. Now you have an opportunity to speak to an audience that goes around the world. I mean, Spotify is telling me that we're in 25 countries. 15% of our audience is overseas. So this does get out there, but the main point is it goes out to all parts of Australia as well. So you're not just speaking to people in Pittwater or potentially the Northern Beaches and Mackellar and seats like that. You're speaking to people across the country. What do you want people to know about the Libertarian Party?
Well, yes, just that we are very strong with our view and principles, just on all levels, from energy to a better electricity supply, from medical, from health. The list goes on and on and on. And day in and day out, I am talking to hundreds of people. I'm a good listener. I've had people approach me after the election. I want to talk to you. And they just want a one-on-one. And I'm thinking, what's this all about? But they were sensible questions. They were asking me about the uni party and what hope have we got? And
were they asking you about privatizing beachfronts?
Look,
No, I'm joking.
I'll tell you.
Zoning.
I'll tell you.
I had to slip it in somewhere.
Yeah, I should have been. I should have got that. But I'll give you one. Give you one back. Just on beachfronts, was that I was at the polling for the last council elections in Manly, and I was snooping around asking the Greens lovely person that was handing out how to vote cards, and she said to me, I said to her, well, what about conservation or the environment and all these sorts of things? What's your policy there? What's happening here? She said, well, I can tell you a story. She said they want to build a clubhouse, a life-saving clubhouse on the beach on the right-hand side. And I said, well, what's wrong with that? I don't know. I suppose they save lives, but it's on the beach, it's on the beach. So that completely lost me. I think that's better than your one, Steve, about building condominiums on the beach. Yeah. That ain't going to happen.
We've got a comment here from John the Boy. Now, John the Boy says, I probably agree with libertarianism on 70% of issues, which is basically how I feel as well, John. But taking their philosophy to their full extent, I couldn't put them first or second preference as a 19-year-old. And he goes on to say, I would feel more comfortable putting family first or one nation above them.
Oh, right.
What do you feel about that? Now, you're not a libertarian, Sam. How do you feel about that?
I'm sorry. If you're 19-year-old and you're thinking about voting for family first, obviously you're a very religious person.
Do you have to be religious to vote for family first?
No, you don't.
I think that's their number one issue.
It's a safe assumption, but it's still an assumption.
Uh-huh. I did read an article the other day where people went to churches at Easter. It went up about 10-15%. People who went up attended church services.
I guess the big question is, do people understand what all these parties stand for? They're all just lumped together as minor parties or freedom parties, and people think, they're just all about freedom. Do people really understand what?
I'd like to.
But can they sell the message?
John the Boy, right? See, John the Boy, you've got a great contrast.
Okay.
Here.
John the Boy says, I am a Christian.
Yeah. You've got a great contrast here. See, Doug is a good soldier. He's a loyal party man. He follows the line pretty much all the time. Me, I'm an insubordinate soldier, right? I question and challenge everything. And the thing is that the Libertarian Party embraces dissent. It's the only party in the whole of Australia that gets seriously sort of saucy about being challenged. They like being challenged.
The Libertarians.
Yep.
I agree with that. You come back for more.
I'd be interested to find out what that other percent was that we quite hit the mark
The
on.
30%. It's privatising beachfronts.
So John the Boy,
court.
come into the Libertarian Party. We need more dissent.
Yeah, come on board.
Come on board. We'll have a good time together, I promise.
Okay. 14 seats too close to call. Now,
That's now.
That's now.
that's current. So we looked.
That's now.
We saw the trend before. So where's the? We'll bring that back up again so people know what I'm talking about. This is a big long.
See, Labor are so conceited and arrogant and stupid. They'll think, 14, we'll get half of those. No, they won't. They'll get 3 or 4.
Yeah, so you can see the trend line. So that's here. Here we are here at the end of it in November. But as that goes along to potentially March or May, I mean, this goes back to what I was saying on this podcast back in September. I said Albanese needed to go to an early election in September.
You were right. He did.
He can't stop the bleeding.
No,
he's a disaster. Everything he touches turns to SHIT.
Absolutely.
I can give you an exclusive tonight. There's another poll that came out in the Herald, in the Fairfax or Channel 9 newspapers about that 2 hours ago. I haven't told you that.
No, you haven't
Drum
told
roll.
me.
I've got an exclusive for you. It's been out for the last 2 or 3 hours. The Labor Party vote's gone from 30% to 27%.
Oh, ouch! 10% lost.
That's a lot of votes.
That's a lot of votes.
Yeah, this is the break. You've now got 2 polls that have actually broken the trend and they've broken downwards.
That's where we come in.
Yep.
But the votes didn't go to the Labor, to Libs. They're still on 38%. 1% went to the Greens and 2% went to One Nation.
Good.
Which I found extraordinary. Yeah.
Well, it just shows that they might lose a few more seats in Queensland.
Okay.
There's no one outside of Queensland votes for you.
Yeah,
guys.
that's right. Yeah. That's right. But yeah, so it's a real
we offer on.
I'll keep talking. It's real.
We dropped out.
Just give me a second. Keep talking.
Keep talking.
Yeah.
Keep talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the poll was a recent Resolve poll that just came out at 6 o'clock tonight.
Right.
And it broke down the states, the 3, the Melbourne, Victoria, New South Wales. And,
So is that right? Is all the One Nation vote in Queensland?
No, I think it's 9% in New South Wales.
Really?
Yeah. I got a theory. I reckon that 2% were Labor supporters that who won't vote for the Liberal Party and gone back to One Nation saying, I'm not quite sure. You know, give me 6 months and I'll park it there for a while and I'll win. Do they win me back or do I go somewhere else? But I ain't voting. I know 2 people live in Western Sydney, mate. They were both proud unionists.
Yeah.
Right.
Rock solid Labor.
Yeah.
And the last 6 months, mate, so I'm not voting for that elbow over my dead body, you know?
Yeah.
And that's a person lives in Warrington.
Yep.
And a person lives at Liverpool. And they're hard, fast, in their mid-30s, late 30s, hard, fast Labor people. And they've abandoned elbow like a duck's off a water's back, you know?
Sorry about that, everyone. I think the camera just...
Was the audio still going?
The audio should have been still going, yes.
We got some comments.
No, it was just everyone letting us know that we're frozen. So thank you for that. Okay, if you've got I'm just trying to read what that comment said. Okay, so let's go back to the too close to call. So you were saying that's currently, so we better stick to currently. So 14 currently are too close to call. Now, 10 of those are currently Labor seats.
Yeah.
So they have to defend those 10.
Yeah.
2 are Teals and 2 are Liberal seats. So in New South Wales, they are Dobell, Hunter, McKellar, Macquarie, Reid, Shortland, and Werriwa. Werriwa is a surprise to me as well that could potentially go to the coalition.
Sure.
Then we have Sturt in South Australia. Now that is a Liberal-held seat.
I think they'll go Labor. That's in the city now.
Yep. So
It's
that
in the goat's cheese.
okay.
I don't agree with you there.
Oh well. Yeah. Well, that's a good observation for the next 6 months. I think you'll go. I think you'll go Labor Party.
I mean, the Liberals are going to have to work hard, and they've got a lousy member of Parliament there.
I'm just saying.
I mean, he's an idiot.
If that's the trend, well,
and then you've got the chance that Nicole Flint could flip Boothby still.
once again, that by-election, they had a by-election in South Australia 2 weeks ago, right in the middle of that electorate, and Libs got smashed.
Well, that's a good thing.
No, but I'm just saying. But I think Australians can differentiate between a federal election, a state election, a by-election, and that's where I think we've come back to what we had to happen at Pittwater. Now, if you told me 2 weeks ago, because McKellar, we'll go back to McKellar.
Yeah.
McKellar's 51-49. Doesn't matter if it's a Teal or Liberal in front.
Yeah.
If you told me 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago that it'd be that close in McKellar, I'd be telling you kidding. The Teal got 53% of the primary vote. Fair enough. The Labor and the Greens didn't run. Well, they're all going to vote like Teal eventually. And if you said to me then, I said, if you did the polling in McKellar, you think there'd be 55-45 on the Teal side. So I think there's two assumptions that I could think that could happen. The by-election, which was a bigger swing to the Teals, is because I think, was it the Rory Amon factor?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
How big a factor is? I thought it was only 2 or 3%, but I think you're on the ground, Doug. You tell me now, was there an anti-Liberal or anti-Amon situation?
Look, dead set. The Amon situation was.
It was huge, was it?
It was huge.
What would you put a number on it? Was it 5, 10, 5, 8, 10%? What?
I'd say 10.
Did you hear people at the booth, especially pre-polling?
I told you it's 10.
That I'm not going to vote for a pedophile or something like that, or alleged pedophile. Sorry.
Yeah, there was a lot of that going on.
It was
even in my talk to the public as a candidate.
You can't.
I was getting silly comments from the back of the gallery. Attack. Yeah.
Or the second scenario was that the Teal vote would hold up in the upper beaches from, say, from Narrabeen up to Palm Beach.
Definitely, yeah.
But of course, McKellar goes all the way back to Killarney Heights and into the middle class areas of those electorates. They would swing the other way. It has to come back. That if it's 53, 55% in Teals in that part of it, the lower half must be 55% the other way.
And the lower half's had 2 terms of Zali.
Yeah, but I'm saying
had to put up
cost
with
of
all her
living,
bullshit.
it's biting harder than someone who's well off at Avalon or something like that.
Yeah.
Now,
so obviously I haven't factored in that. I thought the Rory Amon factor was not as much as I thought, but you're thinking it's close to 10%. Yeah, fair enough.
Okay, so last time in McKellar we had Sophie Scamps beat Jason Falinsky. It was a very tight. Now, Jason Falinsky won in the primary vote. I'm going off memory.
No, they were very close. I think they were 38 all or something like that, or 41 all.
This time she's going up against a very impressive candidate, in my opinion, in James Brown. Now, if you don't know who James Brown is, he recently spoke with Pete Dutton the other day. Here's a photo of that. James Brown is in the center there. Now, he was the son-in-law of Malcolm Turnbull.
Yep.
Now, don't hold that against him because apparently he's had a falling out with Malcolm Turnbull. I don't know. This is what I've heard through the grapevine.
It is the ex-son-in-law.
So he's the ex-son-in-law. Now, I've seen him
married to Daisy Turnbull. Who was married to Daisy Turnbull.
I've seen him speak. I find him very impressive. I have heard negative comments about him as well, but my perspective is that he's impressive, and I think he could take it to Sophie Scamps and give her a good run. So, is she in trouble?
She's in trouble, definitely. I think
just bring the microphone a bit.
I think she'll lose. So not by much. It'll be tight. It'll be tough, but I think that. She's got basically about 25,000 new voters, and they've been subjected to 2 years of Zali. 2 terms. 2 terms.
Well, speaking of Zali, now next to James Brown in this photo is Jamie Rogers. Now, Jamie Rogers is going to be running in Warringah. Now, Jamie Rogers was on 2GB this week, and a lot of her past came up. She worked for Tabcorp. She was, what do they call it when they give out the odds and that sort of thing?
They're PR
sports bet. That's how she knows Rob. Yeah.
Okay, so that's her past. I'm sure they're going to use that against her.
I've got no doubt that Teals will say that she's involved in the betting industry,
gambling
industry, and just pound away.
Now,
they can't, because one of her big passions is removing advertising from sports betting.
you think people care though? Because I listened to that interview.
Around there, they do. Around.
But is it enough to vote for her?
I think.
I don't think it changes anything. I really don't think. I don't think that's a vote changing issue.
No, it's not.
One way or the other.
I agree with you, Richard. For once,
But if,
I can't stand those gambling ads either.
Mm.
I can't. I'm not interested in gambling, but I'm not going to vote for someone based on that issue.
Correct.
I'm going to vote for them on, how high is my electricity bills? What are the interest rates? How is the cost of living? Cost of living is really, really tough right now. It's really starting to clamp down.
but Stephen,
I could care less about gambling ads.
Not
Stephen,
in Warringah.
I live in Warringah.
but Stephen,
You're an atypical Warringah voter.
but Stephen, if you're living in Balmoral, or living at Mossman, or living on East
Cremorne.
Manly,
I live in
Cremorne Point.
Queenscliff. I mean, it's not that bad.
But the point I'm trying to say, and they're well off and they're retired, and
You're on
money's
the
not an issue.
northern end of Warringah.
And if you really,
If they're well off and retired, they're not going on social media and being annoyed by gambling ads.
No.
They could care less.
well,
But they care about other things.
I've said to this privately, I'll say this publicly. I think the Libs have got to find a candidate who are, and you'll disagree with me here, but you've got to be pure and wholesome. You got to be a clean skin.
Well, we're about to find out if you're right, because
That's
there's
right.
nothing cleaner and more wholesome than Jamie Rogers.
Okay.
And I don't think
Because they won't-
she's got the required mongrel to deal with how you feel.
So the two of you, Richard and Doug, you went to an event where she spoke this week. What were
Yep.
your impressions?
She's a very, very good person.
Is that enough to win an election?
Absolutely not.
And for me, all around the room, she's a lovely girl, and
She's very, very nice.
and she's very, very nice person. But
She thinks that she can be a good girl and still win.
And the fact that she swum the English Channel, does that mean anything?
It means she's a very good girl.
My issue would be, and being harsh, she should have been announced 3 or 4 months ago. You'll be on the ground. You should have been on the ground by when you try and win seats back. This is the problem with the Liberal Party in New South
Sam,
Wales.
she's not a political person. She's only just got interested in politics. If she'd got on the ground 6 months ago, she wouldn't have known what to do until she got to now anyway.
You've got to try and win it back, and you go, well,
I know I'm being harsh. I know I'm being harsh, but it's like, she really doesn't know what she's doing.
I'm sure there's people behind her.
We've got Graham watching. Welcome, Graham. What Graham says, sadly, many of the minor parties get lost in the detail. When will they understand the average voter cares less about those details and more about getting by? The party only needs 2 issues to increase success: smaller government and less taxes.
Look, Graham, you've got to stop saying stuff that we all agree with. You've got to challenge us.
give that man a gold watch.
Well, Graham also says, commanding the narrative, congrats on getting through the last 12 months.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Happy birthday,
Graham. That's very
Happy
much
birthday.
appreciated.
congrats.
Yeah.
John the Boy says, come live in Victoria, Sam, and see if people can tell the difference between elections.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
Okay.
And John the Boy also says, I think gambling ads was an issue 5 years ago.
All right.
Maybe when cost of living wasn't such a...
Don't get me
thing.
wrong. Don't get me wrong.
Maz says, who cares about sports betting? Yeah, I agree.
Don't get me wrong. It's a first world issue, but in areas where the Teals are, it's a first world issue for these people who are well off, who are money wise. Is a secondary issue.
I don't think it wins one single vote.
It wins mine, because I want to see people betting, gambling, losing, paying lots of tax. I love it when other people pay more tax than I do.
You just said that it's a vote winning thing for you.
No.
He wants to ban it, and you're just saying that you want
I want to see people, piss their money up against the wall.
because you're a libertarian.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you're going to beat the different demographic, different theories in their lives, that's more for, compared to a person from Campbelltown to a person that lives at Mona Vale, cost of living is more important out in the western suburbs than you are around if you're a retiree, where you think about voting for someone that's got issues that they care about.
All right.
Well,
So
this is my point. It's like if you've got a limited
Because
disposable
whether you like or
income.
not, the Liberals have got to
Yeah.
take votes off the Teals to try and get over the top. That's what I'm
Yeah,
trying to say.
well, all they've got to do is grubby them up a bit, take them on.
I agree. Now, you're not going to do that by being nice either.
I agree.
Well, the Teals won't attack. The Teals won't
Hopefully,
attack.
we've got a man here that will bash him around a bit, eh?
Yeah.
Not physically.
Nah.
I reckon the Liberal Party's
Yeah.
the Liberal candidate Brown. I think
James Brown.
I think he's a bit of a.
I think he will at least get in the ring.
Yeah.
Who's Malcolm around the back?
No,
Sophie.
no,
Of course,
no,
I know
not
that
back,
one.
Sophie, yeah.
Okay, so I didn't read out the remaining too close to call. So Casey in Victoria, that's the
I'm
Liberal seat.
surprised by that. Yeah, that's in the heart of the eastern suburbs in the mortgage bill.
Yep. And then
No,
Chisholm.
that's a semi-rural.
The outer eastern
That's
suburbs.
semi-rural.
That's
and
Croydon.
stuff.
Croydon out
No,
that
it's
way.
further out west than that.
Oh, okay.
It's the sort of out of
In the Yarra
yeah,
range.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay, Chisholm, Corangamite, Hawke, and McEwen.
I'm surprised Corangamite, that's in Geelong and down the coastline,
Yeah.
which is a lot of new estates
A
down
lot
there.
of greens there, a lot of tree changes,
But-
tree changes.
But
yeah.
there's a lot of new estates, a place called Armstrong Creek and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
And that's mortgage bill.
Okay.
So
Okie dokie.
And the last one's Kurt in Western Australia, which is another Teal. That's Kate Cheney.
Yeah,
that's-
she's finished.
Western Australia's gonna be different because they're not they've got full employment. Everything's going good over there.
Except that the
Power
government,
prices are okay because they've got their own power.
except that prices of exports are going down,
Yeah.
and they want to stop the live sheep trade, which everyone's very,
Mm.
I mean, the thing is, the Western Australians always take everything personally. They're the big drama queens and sort of crybabies of
We
the whole
just lost.
Commonwealth.
We love you, Western Australia. We really do love you.
I think they hate everything.
Without
Kalgoorlie.
They also, that's all the eastern states are doing it to us.
Okay,
The
all right,
Easterners, you know.
okay.
Yeah, Eastern.
The lamentation is just appalling.
We've survived a year. We're not going to survive the next year. Now, out of those 14, maybe I'll get a number from each one of you. Obviously, it's based on the here and now. It's going to change by the time we get to the election.
Yeah.
But out of those 14, how many can the Liberals pick up, do you think, Sam?
8.
8 out of 14?
No, I think they'll get more than that.
Well, they'll need
I'll go 10 or
they'll need 11.
I think
I reckon 10.
So they'll get to 74.
I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced of Dobell,
Yep.
Shortland,
Yep.
Hunter, and MacArthur.
I
Oh,
agree.
sorry, not Werriwa.
Yeah.
So you think that- you think
they'll
MacArthur's-
get
I think it's in big play.
I think
it's in-
Really?
Yeah,
I think Labor will hold on to
It's
some
on
of
the other
New South Wales one.
as we've said when we talked to me and Adam and years, which side of the freeway?
Oh, God. I want to go there. What about you, Doug?
I reckon around about the 9, 10.
Yeah?
Yeah, 9.
You think the trend is, as Sam always says, the trend is your friend and
True.
Labor are
Yeah.
really trending down.
Yeah.
There'll be a bit of pullback.
Well, let's.
The way I look at it, Stephen,
Yep.
is if you're looking at all those marginal seats, like say Shortland, Dobell, Hunter, and maybe one other. Well, the Labor will probably hold on to one or two of them, but they won't hold on to all of them. And then the Teal ones, they're gonna go because mainly because of the way they haven't really, apart from Allegra, no one's really spoken out against all this sort of new racism and anti-Semitism. And that's really grubbied them up a bit. They should have come out very hard against it.
I want to talk about the failures of the Albanese government because this is really why things have been trending down. So the obvious one was the voice.
Yes.
That took pain off.
They lost a heap of
Yeah, but
goodwill.
let's
Hang on,
let's look
hang
at
on,
it as an
hang on, hang
overview,
on.
though.
No, the voice, the misinformation bill.
Bill, yeah.
Yeah, you agree, Doug?
Oh, absolutely.
And the economy, I think.
You missed something. They did promise to do a royal commission into COVID.
Yep.
They promised black and blue. That was like the $275 power bill.
Yeah.
But
They
didn't they,
promised black and blue that they would have a royal commission.
but
They
didn't
haven't done it.
but they would say that we did have an inquiry, but it wasn't a royal commission.
No. They said we were going to have a royal commission, not an inquiry,
Yeah.
a royal commission.
Right.
They were very definitive,
That's
and
how I saw it. Yeah.
that's a clear breach of a pledge.
So what they promised, to uphold the Uluru Statement. That failed, Doug.
Yes.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Misinformation bill failed.
Albo's job was really simple. It was to unite the country and lead it. What he did was he divided it and disappeared.
I think he lost. I reckon if they voted the next day when he said on election night we're going to implement the Uluru Statement, I think a lot of blokes would say, I voted for you, then I'm not going to vote for you after that.
Well, I want to come back to this because some people are making a big deal about this. I don't necessarily think this is a big deal because I think people vote separately when it comes to referendums and general elections. I think they can distinguish the difference. But some of these seats, like, for example, Hunter, there was a 20.9% margin between the yes and no vote. So that seat went no by 20%. And that's currently held by Labor. Dan Rapopoli is in that electorate. Dobell was 14.5%.
That's right.
Some of the other ones are Shortland 11.6. Werra was 13.2. Hawke was 14.3. McEwen 10%.
Yeah.
Does that come into play?
Definitely, because Albo's new slogan is "We've got your back," and the whole that is so lacking in substance.
Stab you in the back?
No, it's just it's like, oh, we've got your back because we're so good, we're so cool, and it's like people voted for Labor, and then suddenly in the Voice they were presented with something they didn't even want to even contemplate, and it was divisive. I could see it ripping the country apart.
John the Boy says, I don't think the Voice will have much difference. Yeah, I agree with that. 1984. Oh, that's a new comment. Welcome 1984. I'm of the firm belief that One Nation is part of the problem.
Fair enough.
Yeah, interesting.
Okay.
Give us a couple of points about it. And
Love to hear.
Yeah.
We want to hear that.
Yeah. There are some people are starting to talk about nuclear, cost of living, anti-Semitism. I do want to talk about these issues. So maybe first we'll talk about energy. Well, let's just call it energy instead of just calling it nuclear. Now, Peter Dutton has been out and about, and he was up at Port Stephens. Now, when he was up there, he said that no offshore wind farm. So he pledges to halt one of the wind farms, which is the Hunter offshore wind project.
There's three projects. He said one would be cancelled.
Well, there's the Illawarra, which I think he's already come out against.
No, the investors backed out.
Yeah.
Well, that happened as well.
Yep, that's correct.
And the Hunter one which is the Port Stephens offshore.
That's right.
He's saying that they're going to halt that with whatever, you got to assume that once it's.
And I read one.
We do want one as a monument to stupidity. We do want one there.
Is that the one down in Gippsland, which is 15,000 square kilometers? Would that be enough of a monument for you?
I don't know, because we've got 5 D-style plants sitting around the country that we spend $100 billion.
That's a good point.
At least that started my survey career.
You worked down there.
I worked on the Gold Coast one.
Gold Coast.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear something good came.
Yeah, something good did come of those projects, even though they'd never turned it on.
But there was another project I read the other day who I know quite well. Actually, was the one. There's a wind farm and a solar panel farm which starts at a place called Golgong, which is about 30 k's north of Mudgee, all the way up straight north up to a place called Coolah. And they just called off the windmill part of it, but it's still going to have some solar farms on the proposal.
Well, here's the thing: there's other seats that aren't mentioned in this. Seats like Whitlam or Cunningham, which are down in the Illawarra.
No, they're still safe for Labor.
They're very
safe. You don't think this offshore wind project thing will come into play?
It's not happening.
Well,
people will go back to sleep. You what?
People can still whip up a lot of fear about it.
And third,
it was still Labor's intention to do it.
40% of the seat is,
and all they need is a new investor to come in and pick it up.
40% of the seat is still inland. It's not near the coast, right? So you got people like my idiot cousin who lives at Robertson. All she cares about is the goats.
Where's the Libertarian stance on offshore wind, Doug?
It's not a event as far as the Libertarians go, I can tell you that much. We don't want this sort of nonsense going on. We want a proper rollout of
Proper energy.
a proper energy delivery.
Yeah, well, you're from the industry, you know. Back
Yeah, well, I'm from the industry. I've spent years in the water, electricity, gas, and renewable industry right across the country. So there's not much that I haven't seen from the inside out. I mean, you've only got to look at some of the leaks that just happened recently, coming out from a person that had worked within a government department and was sharing the costs of what goes to the farmer, 12 grand a year. All liabilities are with the farmer.
Yes.
If it catches on fire, thanks
Yeah.
very much.
Decommissioning.
And then you get the
cleanup.
the corporation that's been given the job. Tough is 600,000 to 900,000 per annum they get, and I think that equates to all the numbers. We're in the billions anyway.
That's right.
That are all going in that direction.
Yep.
So
Yep, a lot of money being thrown around. There's a lot of comments being thrown around as well, which is good. Graham says, as a political party, One Nation has always been a basket case, which is unfortunate, as a number of good people have come and gone from One Nation for this reason. I can agree with that.
Right.
I do think that there are better choice. He still thinks they're a better choice than the majors, though. In saying all of
okay.
that, so
Well, of course they are.
okay. Even though they're a basket case. Now, Dutton, according to Sky News, Dutton's going to come out with the costings for nuclear in the coming days.
Yep.
How do you think all this is going to go?
look, I mean, I have a plan. And they're a lot more intelligent than myself, but it shouldn't be that difficult, really. I mean, just give us a number, for God's sake.
Well, he's saying that he's going to be drip feeding this information out over time. He's not just going to reveal everything at once.
Fair enough.
So he's going to, as we get closer and closer to the election, they'll start coming up with more and more information. Do you think that's a fair strategy?
No, he doesn't get it, and neither does anyone else. What they don't get is the world is about to enter an energy famine. We won't be able to build what we want to build over the next 10 years. And if we do build a nuclear power station, we will be a price taker. We will put it out to tender and we will take the best price we can get, but we will pay a lot more than we would have 10 years ago because we didn't make any choices.
Well, let me bring this up because that Jamie Rogers interview that I heard on 2GB,
Right.
she was asked how long will it take before nuclear comes in, because she was saying, I'm pro-nuclear, I support Peter Dutton, blah, blah, blah. But it will take 20 years before we can have nuclear.
What?
Well, there
She's
you go.
an idiot.
So
then the host says, well, what's going to get us by in the meantime? And she said, well, I'm not against renewables, blah, blah, blah.
Oh,
Why?
Jesus
God.
Well, maybe we
Christ.
need to have a bit of gas.
Wow.
Why can't these people just point out the clear thing that's staring them straight in the face? We need coal.
we need
And
coal.
we're going to have to support coal.
Within 5 years,
I'll
within 5 years, we will be building a new brown coal, high energy, low emissions coal station in Victoria. It will happen. And we won't be building one, we'll probably be building 5.
what we have to do, we've got to get our base load right. Over the years, the base load has just been generated through, once upon a time, it was diesel. No, then they went to gas and coal fire. And that's the biggest part that we've got to get right. You can put all your solar farms out there. You've then got to get cables to the grid.
Yep.
Look,
Transmission costs.
it's like the old crap game where you got 1p and you get 3 cups and you ask the person opposite, where's the p? You just move the figures around. Look, you've just got to have a clear, precise delivery. And of course, we've got to remember that if we want to push forward with nuclear, we have to lift the ban,
That's
number
right.
one.
And
Yeah.
the states have got to lift the bans too. The states have got to lift the ban too.
I'll let Victoria drive itself further underground. Let them keep their ban.
But my approach to this would be you fire up the coal-fired power station, put a lot of joy back to the people that have worked all their lives depending on coal, the cities depending on coal, the commerce, the schools, and
Manufacturing.
manufacturing. It just goes on and on. Get that right. Get your base load right. And before you do anything, you get the ban lifted, and at the same time, you're investing in the future of nuclear power knowledge. So you get people from around the world, and I'm
He's firing up.
I'm banging the table here, but I'm just remembering. Hang on, where am I? I'm on a podcast, so I'll be very careful. So
it only took you half an hour. You'd be okay.
So, look, give them some joy and start making some moves towards giving the people some hope of a tariff that will, help the cost of living, help these people put some money from energy bills to paying the school fees, putting food on the table, and then moving towards 5 to 10 years.
Look, I think this nuclear issue is a vote winner for Peter Dutton. I suspect that's a big reason why he's been increasing in the polls. Now, Labor has tried to counteract that by holding these inquiries and talk fests around the country. Now, this ABC News article that I found this morning saying that has backfired on the Labor Party, and that the fact that they've been going around the country talking about nuclear.
Good one.
People are starting to come around. People are starting to say, "Oh, there's some good points about this nuclear energy stuff. Maybe we should get on board."
And
with
I've read some stuff. It's more from the youth, the younger people.
Yeah,
the young under 30s.
because youngs, they understand it. It's new. It's fresh. It's hip.
Yeah. And if I could just say something also, is that if you go back to nuclear power, it was always a fear factor based on nuclear warheads and
Chernobyl.
Chernobyl and Japan. And but these days the youth they're up with all this sort of stuff, so they're realizing there's a lot of safety nets and
yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
And when you remember Chernobyl,
it's our generation that liked midnight oil and was sort of marching against nuclear in the 80s. and stuff like that. Yeah.
But I'm just saying,
all that shit. Young people aren't contaminated with all that rubbish.
But Chernobyl and Fremont, they were all built in the 50s and 60s. And that
They didn't even build a concrete shield over Chernobyl, so when it exploded, it went up. It wasn't contained.
very barbaric, but yeah.
Yeah, John the Boy says we're not as stupid as we seem,
That's got to get thumbs up.
and Dilly Maz is always the comedian. Says, "I love the smell of burning coal in the morning. Smells like a strong economy."
Smells
There's a good pitch.
It smells like victory.
I might pitch that for the Libertarian.
Colonel Kilgore.
You know what?
Now.
That needs to be a bumper sticker.
Yeah,
with the Libertarian logo on there.
Yeah.
I reckon that'd be great.
Yeah.
And what I'd do is I'd go into McKellar there where you've got save the gas. I'd stick the bumper sticker right over the top of it.
Now, so we've talked about, so we're starting to bring up some of the failures of Albanese to almost explain why he's slipping in the polls, and maybe some of the good policies of the coalition, which explains why they're going up in the polls. Another big issue.
Can't we talk about something more interesting?
Well, you're going to fire up at this, Mr. Storch.
Okay.
This is I'm going to have to enlarge this because I can't read this small writing here. But this was a tweet put out by Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu, talking about the unfortunate conflict that's going on in Gaza at the moment and around the Middle East. Now, the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, said, "The burning of the Adass Israel synagogue in Melbourne is an abhorrent act of anti-Semitism. I expect the state authorities to use their full weight to prevent such anti-Semitic acts in the future." So he's talking about what happened in Melbourne. Unfortunately, it is impossible to separate this reprehensible act from the extreme anti-Israel position that the Labor government in Australia, including the scandalous decision to support the UN resolution calling on Israel to bring an end to its unlawful presence in the occupied Palestinian territory as rapidly as possible, and preventing a former Israeli minister from entering the country. Anti-Israel sentiment is anti-Semitism.
Mm-hmm.
So that's coming from Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, being very, very critical of Anthony Albanese and the Labor government.
And so it should be. I mean, let's put aside all the Israeli stuff. let's just look at Albanese as a prime minister. He's got a major event where he's got a significant part of his constituency, because most Jews in Melbourne vote Labor or Green, right? And where is he? Is he down there? Is he present? No.
On the other side of the country.
No, he's gone. And are his ministers down there? Are they doing sort of fly in, fly out sort of rotations about, embracing that community? No.
Where's Wally?
Is he taking any action? No. Has he actually said anything that's not equivocating?
He said something this morning. He said
so let's look at his performance as a prime minister. I can't think of anything that's meritorious. I can't think of anything that's okay about his prime ministership. As a prime minister, he is the worst, the lowest, and the most idiotic I've ever seen.
I think that's the main point we're trying to get across. There's nothing that he's done that has worked.
Yeah. And it's like he's got no idea. He still thinks he's a cool guy. I'm unreal. I'm cool. I can say things and people listen to me. He's such an idiot.
Will this issue really blow up?
This might be a conspiracy theory. But
here we go.
The relationship hasn't Benjamin Netanyahu said a few things about the Albo and the Labor Party.
Not as much as he could have. I don't think.
But the last week or two, some relationships have been bad. Before the incident down in Melbourne?
Look, I'm sure he wouldn't like.
Look,
I mean, he lost the vote.
I just wonder.
In the past, Israel would have always had Australia's vote. Yeah. This time,
it doesn't make any difference.
I just wonder.
It doesn't make any difference. What does make a difference is the standing in the world community and the fact that our relationship with America. And this is what people don't understand. The reason we have not suffered a major terrorism attack is because of the intelligence we get from America and from Israel through America.
That's right.
It's like if you want to spend a whole lot more on policing, on defense and stuff like that, start monkeying around with that relationship like this government has, because it's basically anti-Semitic. I'll state here and now, I'm half Jewish. I've got a Jewish father, but that doesn't change my view.
I've got a theory. Because Netanyahu, didn't he say a week or so ago that the relationship between the Australian government and the Israeli government is getting worse? And then this happened on Friday. I just wonder if
it's never been as bad as it has in this government.
But didn't he say that before the incident on Friday morning?
Yep.
I wonder did he try to tell the Australian government there was maybe a chance there was an incident going to happen?
Only this government is so idiotic that would think that there was not a possibility of something like this happening.
And it might come out.
It was inevitable.
I might be wrong, but did Mossad tell someone from the government there's something going on in somewhere in Australia this incident could happen?
There's a fair chance.
Did anyone?
Right.
No,
there is a fair chance.
I'm only conspiracy.
But I'll bet you they didn't act on it.
True.
So it looks bad.
Yeah,
it
could have been worse too.
Well, it could have been worse. Yeah.
It is bad. It's terrible.
Absolutely.
Well, Dilly Maz says firebombing a synagogue on Australian soil is wrong, regardless of your political views. I think we can agree with that.
Yeah.
What does that say? Bold pirate.
Bold.
Okay, bold.
We've got some people tonight that's come from nowhere.
The major issue is that the news cycle is so fast, people forget what happened last week. Will Jews forget this?
No way.
No.
Their life has changed. And and their votes will change too. This will lose the Teals 2 seats in Melbourne. All of this.
Be interesting because there's the by-election in Paran on the 5th of November.
That's not relevant.
Just listen up a bit. Just listen up a bit because Labor aren't running. The Greens are running with the Liberal Party. Okay.
Yeah.
And there's the vote electorate doesn't go as far down as Eastern Kilda or down the Caulfield. But the point I'm trying to say, there's that real southern part of the electorate of Paran is a little bit of Jewish area. Okay. And there'll be a couple of booths down there, and be interesting what the vote is down there. Okay. So just a couple of booths.
Okay,
that's all we're looking at. I'm just looking at those booths around Eastern Kilda.
Okay.
And down that way. That's it.
So you're saying that he's going to lose the Jewish vote. What about the Muslim vote? Does he pick that up?
No, I'd just like to dwell on that a bit. It's like everyone goes, oh, well, there's only 100,000 Jews, right? in Australia, but the intermarriage rate in this country was much, much higher than everywhere else. So there's lots of halves and quarters like me, and we're not quiet. We're loud.
Dilimaz says Israel never performed acts of terrorism. Never, ever, ever.
Not true. The Jews performed active terrorism when the British were in control of the mandate, and then they also did it during the 48 war. Don't worry about that. There's nothing like a good atrocity to achieve an objective.
Doug, you live in Sydney. You grew up in the West as well.
I did indeed.
Yep. There's a lot of there's a lot of concern from the Labor Party that they're going to lose seats in Western Sydney. Fatima Payman's out there now talking about setting up her own party. There's a fear that the Islamic bloc is going to take votes away from the Labor Party. Do you think this is all in their heads? Do you think they're getting concerned about all this, and maybe this is why they've come out against or voting against Israel in the UN?
Ooh, that's an interesting question. As like once upon a time, I was in the Greater West, and of course things have changed since I've been living over in the northern beaches. But I still have a lot of brothers and sisters back there. But yeah, look,
if you,
Sam,
if you look at I know it's only local council elections around Bankstown Council, and the vote. The Labor vote only lost one seat, so there was a little bit of slice off them, but it wasn't major. And they're not all going to vote as one. And I do not know. This is where they've had candidates on the ground for the last 3 or 4 months. The Muslim vote.
You know, I got to say,
it's interesting how much are they working? I don't know. I haven't really gone into. Are they working?
I've got to say, if John the boy really is 19, he's very wise, because he said, if you try and make everyone happy, you will offend everyone.
Yep.
Look at the Democrats in America.
Excellent. Well done.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking about more Anthony Albanese failures, we talked about domestically. He's failing because of the voice and everything. He's failing on the foreign relations.
He's not a leader.
He's also failing internally. Now, okay, so Prime Minister Anthony Albanese sparks internal party friction as he pushes through Labor left election candidate. Now, this is happening in the electorate of Barton, which is around Rockdale and those areas, traditionally a Labor right electorate. He's trying to push through a real lefty of the Labor Party, and he's getting some backlash within the Labor Party. So he's not winning. He's not winning battles anywhere or making friends anywhere.
Well, again, it's his conceit. He just thinks that he's unreal and he can do whatever he wants.
And Barton with the redistribution, their margin's gone down a bit because it's gone a bit further south.
Nah, they're safe.
But I'm just saying that they've got parts of that used to be in Cook has gone into Barton. Down this side of the Captain Cook Bridge. That's what I'm just saying, around Sandringham.
Yeah.
Those couple suburbs on that side.
So this is the candidate.
It could be 2 or 3%.
This is the candidate he wants to run. So it'll be another captain's pick, but this time on the Labor side.
The Labor right won't be too happy, I can assure you.
Really? Well, what are they going to do about it?
Well, they might not run. They might not help him. They get their own. The left-wing unions might go and help him, but the right-wing, the SDA won't help him.
Well, they're going to need help everywhere the way they're going.
This is where the SDA go.
All right. So is there anything you guys want to finish up on in regards to Albanese? There's no chance of him being derailed there's no leadership challenge coming or anything like that. Like he's going to the election. He's a horrible campaigner. We saw that last time.
That's another factor.
Well, he's not present. He's always disappearing all the time. He doesn't stick around. He doesn't use any presence. He's useless. He's the worst prime minister in the history of the country.
And I agree.
I heard some people saying he's worse than Gough.
He is worse than Gough. I remember Gough. Gough at least had presence. You know, he could talk.
Yeah.
And people liked him.
Yeah.
I mean, Albanese fails on all of that.
All right, let's talk about someone with presence and that people can like. The election race is really hotting up now, and the Teals are going to be out in force. This is Allegra Spender putting out election material already.
When you elected me as the independent member for Wentworth, you wanted someone who would stand up for your values.
Like fighting climate change.
I've strengthened legislation to make the big polluters pull their weight. Successfully lobbied for $1 billion investment to tackle household power bills. Pushed the government to deliver a stronger electric vehicle policy. And I'm committed to cutting 75% of emissions by 2035.
What about the cost of living and the economy?
I've supported measures to reduce gas and electricity prices, put forward a new way to end the housing crisis, stood up for small businesses, and held the government to account on industrial relations. And now I'm taking on the tough issues the big parties won't by leading a series of major summits on tax reform.
What are you doing to clean up politics?
Thanks to relentless pressure from independents, we finally have a national anti-corruption commission. And after a decade of living in limbo, thousands of refugees can now call Australia home. Together, let's create a better future for Wentworth.
Spoken and authorised by Allegra Spender, Edgecliff.
How'd you like that, Richard? She's going to have 75% reductions in emissions by 2035. She's happy with bringing in more refugees. She wants to tax gas and all this sort of stuff.
Where are we going to put them in Double Bay?
Well, you mean the immigrants or the offshore wind turbines?
Both.
And the solar panels.
I would like to review her policy positions in 2 years' time, because the world that she thinks she's living in existed 10 years ago and it no longer exists. And it certainly won't in 2 years' time.
It was a slick and professionally presented, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's like she expects that, we're going to be able to choose what happens to us. We've lost the choice. We had the choice 15 years ago.
And
we are entering an energy famine. We will not be able to build anything unless we pay a lot for it. And we will certainly not meet our energy needs from anything that looks like solar or wind. There won't be the money, there won't be the workforce, and it won't happen.
Look, this one's way out of left field, but I'm going to ask this. Dilimaz says, and you might be able to answer this, Doug. When does the timeline start when Alex Antic will become Prime Minister?
Wow.
Do you think he would be a good Prime Minister?
Well, look, I've been asking for quite some time now. Is there a Prime Minister of the future? And that's one that I haven't heard.
Well, where's he going to get a seat in the lower house?
Well,
South Australia's a desert.
Yep.
Why? There's a lot of seats in South Australia.
Coalitions at the moment. There's only 3, and that's the two outback seats.
Why can't he be in the outback seat?
He probably lives in the inner city of Adelaide.
Wow, this one. This is. We're getting a lot of comments. I'm trying to keep up with them all. This one's from Graham. I have met Whitlam. He was a friend of my father. He had intelligence, but was influenced by fools. Fools with stupid political ideology. Graham is well connected there.
Yeah,
that's interesting. Back to Allegra Spender, Richard. I know she's one of your favorites. Is she the better one of the Teals?
She's the best.
The best.
Easily. Yeah, she has more intelligence and she's slightly less ideological, but she's still caught up in what I would call wealth guilt. She feels guilty about being wealthy. And that makes her pursue ideas like, oh, we should have this tax summit and put everything on the table. In other words, we should find out a way to get more tax, give more money to people.
They're also talking about...
And that's the shallow, sort of vacuous, idiocy of these people.
The thing when she said she wants tax reform, she released a statement the other week, or about 2 weeks ago, statement was with a bloke called Ken Henry. And about 15 years ago,
he did a report.
And I got the impression that I think they've just updated, but the majority of it would be from what Henry wrote 15 years ago.
Yeah, he made 150 recommendations.
That's right.
And,
so he was
Rudd introduced 2.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say, he's probably copied and pasted and told Teals that. And I think Henry is part of the Teals in behind the scenes. I think don't hold me to that.
Does he need money?
No, he's probably on a government pension.
I think so.
Oh, fair enough.
So what does he need? Why is he there?
Publicity. There you go.
No, he doesn't. He's a nerd. He's an introvert. He doesn't need publicity.
Here's a question for you older fat folks. John the Boy says, I'm curious, if we used to have more referendums, was there a time when we were more closely represented?
In what way, mate? Closely.
Well,
represented.
were there more referendums about changing the constitution?
I think Hawke had 5.
No, I didn't have. No.
Yeah, I think he had 5 and he won 1.
No, I think.
How does that compare to now? Like with
We've had 2 in the last 30 years, so
they've both been rejected.
Bald Pirate says
a plebiscite as well. That got accepted.
Bald Pirate says
that technically wasn't a referendum. That was
plebiscite.
a plebiscite. That's different.
I'm
not constitutional change.
I'm happy that I stumbled across this convo. I'll be watching again. Thank you, Bald Pirate.
Thank you for listening to us,
and thanks for commenting and keeping up with us. Dilly Maz says, I think we need some more common sense referendums to counter dumbass politicians.
The only thing I would ever.
What referendums do we need, though?
I think we need one referendum, and he'll disagree with me vehemently. We've got to go to 4-year terms.
Oh, fuck that. No way.
Beep. Hey, I've never swore like that in 12 months. And you haven't until now.
Richard's on everyone watching. Richard's on the wine tonight. We've been watching him get into it.
I've never said the F word. I've said it plenty of times outside here, but never on the thing.
I'm pretty sure you said it once. Early on.
Did I? All right.
Yeah. Now, please let us know if you want Richard to be on the wines next time as well. Because,
you banned us from water. Now there's
referendums. Doug, can you think of anything?
Well, I mean, as you like, it's
4-year
been a
terms,
long time, but 4-year term.
See, I disagree with that because currently at the moment in the UK, no water. You spill it everywhere.
On the table. Oh, that's mine.
Keir Starmer in the UK has a 5-year term.
Well, he's always been 5-year term.
I know, but he's already tanking because he's almost as bad as Albo, if not worse.
Oh, yeah.
But they're not going to get rid of him for 5 years. So you want to increase the terms. Isn't 3 years bad enough? Isn't 3 years of Albanese bad enough?
But I'm talking about reform. I think government should have 4-year terms.
Well, actually, it's an interesting question because it's like if Albo had 4 years, imagine how badly he'd get beaten. No one would vote for him. Yeah, it's like I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah,
that's almost worth it.
John the boy says, "No, please, no more wine."
Good on you, John the boy.
Well, I think maybe if you're interested in what referendums we should have, go back and listen to the last podcast I did with Kevin Lockray.
All right,
we discussed this in detail, and we probably will be at some stage forming some sort of lobby group about. John the boy says it there. Ask what Kevin Lockray thinks about increased limits. I can't remember if he's
brought that up with him.
Yes, I'm trying to remember if he has views about that. I think what he says is that you should have term limits.
No, I disagree with you. I think you're entitled to vote as be a member as long as you go. Because I still think, and I've talked to politicians in Macquarie Street and ex-federal politicians. It takes you 5 years to 7 years to learn how the parliament actually works and how government works.
Well,
your best years are from
3. Yeah,
your best years. And I spoke to one now the other week, and he said to me, "I'm only just learned how to." He's been in Macquarie Street for over a term, and he said, "I'm only just learning the ropes now," and he's about to leave in 2 years' time. But I'm just saying, but in hindsight, the best years will be from now to year 16 if you did 3 or 4 terms. And know what to do and what not to do.
But state is a bit different to federal, but
it's still same.
I
definitely
don't want 4-year federal terms. No way.
No.
Albo and then Dutton both agree with it.
Of course they do.
No, I just think that. Yeah.
I would too if I was going for a prime minister.
Who wants to fight an election every 3 years?
I'd want 10-year terms.
Can I throw something up? Compulsory voting. Well, any views on?
I think it's good.
I think it's good too.
I think it's bad
because there's.
I think it's really bad.
There's less chance of rigging it
Nah.
I mean, it's still possible, but you pretty much know how many people are meant to vote, and it engages people. Like, yeah, look, you don't have to vote; you just have to turn up.
Yeah. Well, there's the national informal rate's probably 4-5% nationally.
Yeah.
So there's probably half of them who don't like and just tick off the map, tick off their when they go.
But here's a question for if we didn't have compulsory voting, what would the turnout be?
Probably about 80%.
You reckon?
Yeah, because people, I think in Australia, we're ingrained.
Well, we are now.
Yeah.
We're indoctrinated.
But it might be different in 10, 15 years' time when the youth haven't voted. They haven't voted.
20 years' time, 30 years' time, maybe it's different, but I don't think it ever would be in this country.
I think we appreciate democracy.
I think we're very socialized in this country in terms of our sense of
Ball Pirate said
nationality.
career politicians gave us Dan Andrews, and look what happened to Victoria.
Okay, that's Dan Andrews, but I can name plenty of other politicians who've been good too. Yeah, so,
well,
yeah, well, these are good questions.
Look, the fundamental thing with compulsory voting is it's anti-democratic to make people vote. Most democracies around the country don't have compulsory voting. They do not have it.
John the Boy says it will drop eventually to 60%.
No, it wouldn't.
I think in maybe some rural areas that have to.
You have to wait 50 years, John Boy.
Yeah, especially if you live. I know a farmer. He lives 50 k's from Coonamble, and it's in the middle of nowhere. But he's halfway between Coonamble and Walgett. You know?
Anyway, the compelling thing for me is that I want my vote to be worth more. So if 10 dunderheads don't vote, that makes my vote worth 10 times as much.
Does it?
Yeah.
Maybe they're voting Libertarian though, because only the dumber heads would have to vote Libertarian though, right?
I'm not going to even respond to that.
I like.
Do you want to have another birthday?
I like the way they do it in New Zealand, where it's a popular. If you vote for a party and if you get a percentage, you get a percentage of the people that's in the parliament.
I don't like this system.
Here's a referendum that.
But they've only got one house. They don't have an upper house.
Here's a referendum that Kevin Lockray would want. He would want both the Governor General and the Attorney General elected by the Australian people.
He's wrong.
Why an AG?
Well, he thinks that it shouldn't be a politician.
Well, that means he wants a Republican.
If you get it, if you have an
default.
election for the Governor General and the other guy, they're politicians because they've been elected.
Well, he wants a clear.
Governor General is appointed, therefore he is a person that has been appointed to be the head of state.
But he wants a clear separation between the executive and the legislature, and he says that's not.
I don't understand what he means, but I don't care. I still want the Governor General to be able to fire the Prime Minister.
Maybe you should understand what he means before you start the comment.
Except
I've had lived experience. I watched the Governor General fire the Prime Minister, and it was really, really good.
And I'm pretty sure you watched that podcast with Kevin Lockray because I think you called in.
I did.
But I'm saying the only time that no one knows the Governor General except for anyone from our generation. We only know one. It was Kerr. The rest of them, you've never heard of them.
Graham says the majors need compulsory voting to maintain the stranglehold on the cities.
True.
Ooh, very good.
Doug didn't answer the question about the Governor General being elected. What do you think about that?
I think they should be put in place by the people like as the Constitution. Is it right? The Constitution.
No, the Constitution is at this moment the Constitution that the Prime Minister, the Governor General is appointed by the Prime Minister and Cabinet.
Here's the issue. So if you read the Constitution, Chapter 2, I think is the executive. The Governor General can choose its cabinet. Right, so there's meant to be a separation between the executive branch and the legislative branch. The legislative branch is the Senate and the House of Representatives. They make the laws, and then the executive is meant to implement the laws. There's meant to be a clear distinction between the two. There's not, because currently the Governor General just says to the Prime Minister, "Who do you want in the cabinet?" and the Prime Minister picks all these positions. Kevin Locke, and so basically the Prime Minister controls the legislature, but he also controls the executive. Kevin Lockray is saying that's not a clear separation of powers. No. Therefore, we should. And if you read the Constitution, there's no mention of the Prime Minister or any of the people in Parliament being part of the executive. It's just something that's happened over time. Kevin says, no, let's draw the line. you can't have if you're in the legislature, you can't be part of the executive.
But my issue is that you want the public to vote for the Governor General. Well, that's what that comes under. That's a republic.
It essentially becomes like the American system.
That's
where,
right.
President.
So Governor General will be the equivalent of the president, and the president can then choose their cabinet, which is what Trump has done now, and he's putting in RFK Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard and Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy and all these people.
That's if the Senate ticks it off.
Well, yeah, there has to be checks and balances.
Good luck standing up to that.
Well, don't be surprised. Gates and the other bloke, they're easy. But I reckon the Republicans are going to go after Kennedy. That's when the hell's going to break.
Graham says.
That's my conspiracy.
Graham
theory.
says Sir John Kerr was the last true Governor General. Since then, it has been a joyride.
That's in a nutshell.
I think Sir William Dean was pretty good.
What did he do?
And Bill Hayden was definitely not Bob Hawke's best friend.
Oh, that was to get him out of Parliament.
So William Dean basically probably took 10 years off John Howard's life. So we've had a number of outstanding ones. The thing is that what I like particularly about people like I've just mentioned is that the Prime Minister probably opened the newspaper, because in those days we had big broadsheets, and probably as he opened it, he thought, what's that guy going to do to me? What's that bloke going to say today? And it was always something that he didn't want to talk about.
But isn't that what you want?
Yeah.
Isn't that what you want?
That's exactly what you want from your head of state. He's going to, go trundling into all the areas the Prime Minister doesn't want to talk about, doesn't want to look at, doesn't want to go near. And the Governor General, oh, wow, look what I found. This is great. Well, I wonder what the Prime Minister will say about this, Just and that's exactly what you want.
So, but you're against him being elected, or her? He or
No,
her.
my feeling is if you have an elected Governor General or a head of state, then they are responsive to voters. What you want is someone that's appointed that can just cause immense amounts of trouble.
Oh God.
So I think, Stephen, it's a little bit of a harder question.
I think I'm happy with the status quo.
I think I'll just have a rest for a minute, and then I'll think.
All right. Well, let's get to something that Doug, you probably will be happy to talk about. This is another addition to the Libertarian Party.
Mr. Steve.
Steve Christou has joined the Libertarians.
I wondered about Steve. You haven't seen him for a while.
This comes on the back of Craig Kelly also
of
joining
course.
or announcing. I mean, we've all known this, but he finally announced it. Steve Christou is a good man, and I support him in what he's doing. But what do you think, Sam?
Oh yeah, he obviously he can see a vision that he believes in. Maybe as a gateway to bigger things in the future.
I've had the time. I actually met Steve at the Guildford Lease,
where
they were doing a lot of forums.
Yeah,
and I shook his hand, and then I saw him go in for the council again. And I thought he spoke quite well, and a lot of the things that he spoke about certainly resonated with me, because he's in a difficult spot there. Once again, that change of cultural sort of background. Don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure he started his campaign in life through the Labor Party. I think he's a Labor lad, and he's in the right place out there. But he impressed me, and he's actually delivered. I think what I like about him is he's a grassroots type individual. He gets into the local community, and he has an opinion, and he works with the local community. And he's not afraid to actually front up. Whereas if you look at a lot of the other areas, especially in my area, you never see them for the term. And Steve, I think, will go very well.
Well, this is what he had to say when he's made this announcement. He says, happy to announce that I've joined the Libertarian Party. I love Australia, and I'm sick of seeing Labor, the Greens and the Teals flush this great country down the toilet whilst the Liberal Party watches on, refusing to do anything. I'm looking forward to working with a great team of people to make Australia great again. Only a strong Libertarian Party will hold the major parties accountable and improve living conditions, allowing all Australians to prosper. Now, that's a pretty powerful statement, and I would love to go along and agree with a lot of that. I'm just not going to join the Libertarian bandwagon. That's my only problem.
We don't need you.
Oh, here we go.
No, that's, we love you, but
Steve's not from the classic Libertarian side. He's more conservative, right wing.
Still a liberal.
He's a right wing Labor.
I still am.
That right wing Labor have been driven out of the Labor Party.
But I will say this: you're probably right that the
Literally,
Libertarians don't need someone like me, because they are picking up a lot of people, and they're really on the march, aren't they?
oh yeah, sure. Are you talking about the Liberal?
The Libertarians.
Oh, the Libertarians. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, they certainly resonate in my area, and that's a diehard liberal area, which then under history was overturned by the Teals. But yeah, look, I don't know. I just feel that this is the new age,
way.
The new way.
Yeah.
Sam,
when people see us and recognise us, they vote for us. The problem is they don't see us and recognise us as much as we need.
Sam,
That's a fair comment. Yeah.
In light of this, we know that Steve Christie was campaigning for One Nation in the state election last year. He was campaigning out of Parramatta with MK Singh, and there was a feeling that he was going to join One Nation. That hasn't happened. He's joined the Libertarians instead. Craig Kelly has been through One Nation for a cup of coffee and realised what a horror show.
That's right.
I think Graham was the one who called it a basket case earlier.
Yeah.
Where does this leave One Nation, especially in New South Wales?
That's right. It's
Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing in New
Big
South Wales. But yeah, well, they've got the thing with One Nation. They've got name recognition. People.
So I have to read. This is another comment from John the Boy that I just love.
John the Boy.
Good on you, John the Boy. The Libertarians may be on the march, but no one has heard it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Can you come and be one of our campaign managers? Like, can you get the brand?
John the Boy, your presence exceeds your years by a big margin. You're a good boy.
Sounds like a champion.
Yeah, doesn't he? Yeah.
Okay.
Good on you, John Boy.
All right. So that pretty much wraps us up for tonight. Any final comments or things you want to talk about, gentlemen?
I reckon I'll be on the ground in January 27th. Because I think Albanese will call an election.
I was going to ask you that question.
Doesn't he have to be in Parliament to?
No. He all he has to do is go and have a cup of tea with the Governor General.
Okay.
I was going to ask the question: when do you think we'll go to an election?
Yeah, I've changed my mind. I thought it was going to be May, but see, he's such a coward. He doesn't want to put forward a budget. That's the last thing in the world he wants to do.
The problem is he can't.
He makes the least worst choice all the time in his mind. He doesn't make good choices. He doesn't make choices at all. He just does what.
But if it is a May election, where will the Labor vote be?
Sorry,
didn't you say it was 27%?
27. The poll came out in 9 newspapers.
Well, on trend, it's on trend.
Where is the bottom of the barrel? How low can it go?
On trend, it's been losing 1% every 6 months, 2pp. So if this is the downward break that it looks to be, not that I think it is, but that it looks to be, then maybe they start losing 1% a month.
John the Boy says, I say May. Doug, what do you think?
Well, personally, in some respects, I'd like May as a candidate.
Oh, you need as much time as you can get.
Of course.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about all the other people, whether they're Liberal, Labor, whatever. They'll be all reflecting on, have we got our together?
Well, John, hang on. John
Mm.
says this, and maybe, John, you can follow up by letting us know when this happened. He said he, as in Albanese, had a slip up on Sky where he said May election.
Oh, he said that a few times publicly.
He's been very sort of cagey about it. But the bottom line is that he doesn't want to let Chalmers put another budget through with all the bad news.
That's right.
He's a coward.
Right?
That'll be the compelling thing.
Couple things. we've got to go. You can't go early March because there's the Western Australian election.
No, he's already had a discussion about
Okay,
that.
but I'm just saying, I don't know what
I know there's a complication.
and you can't announce. We always thought the day after Australia Day was when you call an election for early March.
Yeah.
Problem is, Australia Day is a Sunday, and generally people call elections on a Sunday lunchtime and have an all day and make it. Everyone's home on the Sunday night, watch the 6 o'clock news. But because it's Australia Day, it's a Sunday.
They'll be away.
Yeah,
they'll be away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, it's an underwhelming sort of event. It's supposed
and
to,
you've got to
get some excitement,
and you've got to have a 33 day. You got to give them. You got to give 30.
Maybe the 28th of January. Maybe you'll leave until Monday
night.
Yeah,
Monday lunchtime.
Yeah,
Everyone's back at work, but
yeah,
school's
that's okay.
back. Yeah.
That's okay. I mean,
does he put it a week before the Western Australian election, which would really nick off the Western Australians?
As Stephen said, he should have gone this year.
Should have gone in September.
In hindsight.
Yeah. And
Peter Credlin said that for months. He should have gone by now. Which he probably, I think Peter Credlin said the first or second week of December.
I was saying he can't stop the bleeding, and he can't.
Yeah.
At this moment, he can't stop.
Well, you've been completely vindicated.
That's why people watch this podcast. They listen to me.
You know, they listen to you. They ignore all of that. They just listen to you.
Now, okay.
Because think about he could go early April because Easter's late this year.
No,
Easter's the 20th.
He's got to put you.
Easter's the latest it can be. It's the 20th of April.
No, budget. That's the bottom line.
Okay,
I
Doug,
accept that.
Okay, Doug, we're really going to put you on the spot now because because this is the first time you've been on. You're going to be engaged into a tradition of both the ex-candidates and the Commanding the Narrative podcast, which is build your own fantasy government. Now, Doug, you're in control of the next Parliament of Australia, and you can choose 5 or 6 people to head up that parliament or that government,
right?
To take Australia into the future. There could be anyone you want, living or dead. Don't have to be a member of Parliament. Just 5 or 6 people that you think would be a tremendous pick to lead this country. Who would you choose?
Yeah, look, I know Antic come up earlier. So
Alex Antic,
Alex, he'll get and then of course you got Malcolm Roberts and all the guys. Rennie, he's almost got the same name as me.
Jacinta.
Yes. Yeah, look,
it's hard with a question about no. So I should have told you an hour and a half ago.
Craig Kelly, I'll throw him as a wild card.
Craig Kelly.
Yeah, give him a go. He's been trying his heart out, We've got to get him there. Well, that's the bleeding obvious for me, the most inspirational man on the planet, Mr. John Ruddick.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's a interesting collection of people.
Characters.
Well,
I'm always an interesting.
Actually, Malcolm Roberts almost gets on. I think he's probably about on 65% of the people's list. He's always on there somewhere. Yeah. So, all right, boys. Thank you very much for tonight. Thank you.
Is that it for issues? That's it.
That's it. We're at the 1 hour 45-minute mark. I think people have had enough of.
If it was Jay Rogan, we only just started.
By the way, thanks for having me.
We're going to talk about some American stuff, or is it too late?
Thank you, Doug.
Yes,
thanks for coming.
fantastic.
Oh, you want to close us up?
What do you want to talk about?
America.
What do you want to talk
Okay.
about America?
Sorry.
America's done. The election's over. There's nothing happening.
The cabinet appointments and the numbers
It
behind it.
hasn't gone to the Senate yet. Big deal. Like,
Gates has been rejected.
yeah, so what?
Do a podcast with Paul. You're both completely obsessed with it.
I don't think it will come up. Maybe in January we can have another look at America.
I think the first one start when the new Senate starts. I think the 5th of January, the 6th of January.
Yeah.
When the new members come in.
Yeah.
I reckon you should wait until you can see what Trump meant when he was talking to a mass about releasing the hostages.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. It'd be fascinating what happens the next 6 weeks. It'd be interesting what happens.
John the Boy says, let him talk, Stephen. John the Boy wants to go all night.
Yeah, John the Boy's a legend.
Don't you have uni tomorrow or something or work?
Do you listen to Joe too, do you?
John the Boy is a legend.
Yeah.
He is. Tell your mates, John the Boy. Get him on the line.
That's right.
Yeah. Call in, John the Boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, maybe
Anyone getting a quick call?
the StreamYard link. I'll put it back in the chat again. If anyone wants to call in, I don't know if we can hold on for another 5 minutes, but I did have it in the chat in the beginning. No one's jumped on it tonight, but if you want to come and say g'day.
Tony's not on. Tony, I've been on tonight.
No, not tonight.
Tony's
tonight.
Must be have something on a Sunday night.
Yeah, so you hit that StreamYard link. I think now if you're using your phone, you do have to download the app, unfortunately, but it is pretty easy otherwise. John the boy says, "I've got work, but I don't start till 7." That's still pretty early.
He sounds motivated.
Surely does.
Yeah.
Man.
Look into Gates's father's $25 million donation. Very interesting stuff. Okay, we'll have to look into that one. Dilmaz.
Thanks for the scoop.
I've heard the New York Times or any of them have never brought that up about the people contributing to Trump's or.
Okay, what about what? Okay, so final topic. We'll just get your views on all of this. What about Biden pardoning Hunter Biden? What do you think about that?
Disgraceful.
Disgraceful.
Unbelievable. I mean, it's almost as bad as Albanese, isn't it? Like
it's a miscarriage of justice. I mean, I know the presidents can pardon people, but it's usually like lesser.
Makes a mockery of the whole presidential office and the authority of the president.
You ain't seen nothing yet. It'd be interesting who he pardons for the next couple of weeks.
Well, does he pardon Fauci?
My oath he does.
Of course he does.
Really?
He pardons anyone that's
anyone he thinks he feels threatened by Trump.
Yep.
They all get pardoned.
Yeah.
Yep.
It'd be bigger list than Ben-Hur.
Yep. It's going to be.
They say
unbelievable.
It'd be interesting how much it'd be amazing how many. And the thing with Hunter Biden, it goes for 11 years.
Yeah.
From 2004, and that's when he first joined the Russian or the Ukrainian or any other company that he's joined.
Yeah.
And
for 11 years.
Yeah.
But look at that in contrast to all the unfounded, ungrounded, insubstantial accusations that people made against Trump.
Yeah.
What a contrast.
And another thing too.
Here's a question for you. Is it okay would it be okay for Trump to come in on his first day and pardon the January 6th?
He'll do it. I reckon he'll do that. I reckon he'll do it.
Is that okay? And the Hunter thing's not?
I'm
playing.
Does it diminish the legal costs to the state and to everybody?
What?
Does it diminish the legal cost if he pardons them? Or
well, they're already in jail.
Oh, he's got to get them out. The whole thing was a stitch up.
Yeah.
But I think
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
My issue, biggest.
You're not likely to get much response because it's so obvious.
The biggest issue.
Really,
the biggest issue of this administration is, and it'll come out in years to come. Who's actually been running the government for the last year or two?
Yes, good question.
No one knows.
Running the government.
No one knows.
And where was Joe Biden today? Trump was in France opening Notre Dame. And guess who was representing the president? Jill
Biden.
Really?
Where's Joe? Come back from Africa. He's probably sleep in the White House lounge.
Oh yes. Well,
I say who? And that would be the big first question I'll be asking anyone from America or anyone that I'll be interested in what people they'll be writing essays in 6 months' time. Who's actually run the government for the last 12 to 2 years? You know, someone said to me, I've read something that he hasn't actually had a cabinet meeting for 15 months.
Well,
he fell asleep the other day in Africa. And he couldn't get up. He was with the Angolan president, and they were going up to see a meeting or do a Photoshop, and he had to go up this little step. And he sat there, and then basically the Angolan bloke said, "Get up the step here, mate. Just get there." Oh, okay. Somehow got up the stair.
He's gone for all money.
But for how long?
Yeah, I mean, it's
and you can see why the Russians and everyone else has gone and said, "Well, we're not going to get kicked back from America. This bloke's senile in the White House. He wouldn't have for a Martha." You know?
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. I enjoyed this one. Thank you, everyone in the comments and everyone watching. It's always a much better podcast when it's when we can engage with you.
Yeah.
Maybe next time, think about calling in. We'd like to speak with you as well. But thank you, everyone, for watching. Share this out. Get the word out there. If you enjoyed this conversations, hopefully some of your friends will also enjoy this conversation as well. Doug, where can people follow you? It does sound like you're running. If people want to volunteer to your campaign or something like that, where's the best place to go?
Yeah, I think the best place to be directed to is the Libertarian on the website, the Libertarian Party on the website, and that'll give you all the answers.
Yep, sounds good. All right, everyone, we enjoyed this one. Hope you did too, and we'll see you all next time. Bye.
Thank you.